Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us for On the Record. I'm Randy Beamer. And this week, we are starting with something the Defense Department announced just this week about a micro-nuclear reactor, a new kind of technology, and the first of it in Texas for the Defense Department is coming to Joint Base San Antonio. Here to talk about that and more is County Commissioner Grant Moody. Thank you very much for coming in.
Happy to be here.
Tell us about this new technology, micro-nuclear reactor. Of course, you know, decades ago, it was a huge issue in San Antonio and Texas, South Texas nuclear project. There's a lot of concerns about safety. This is a whole different kind of technology, literally can be shipped on a shipping container in a truck.
Yeah. No, this is a huge win for Joint Base San Antonio, for our community, for Texas, and it's really exciting stuff. As you mentioned, this is new technology. I mean, this is not your grandfather's nuclear reactor. You know, the last nuclear reactor that went online in Texas was over 33 years ago, right? So technology has advanced to a significant level. This was a selection by the Department of Defense that is going to place, I think there were 3 selected nationwide, Joint Base San Antonio being one of them, that will provide that continuity of power if the grid were to ever go down again, which is critical for some of their missions to ensure that they always have power available on Joint Base San Antonio. And so that's what this nuclear power plant will provide. But clearly Governor Abbott, the Trump administration have been very pro-nuclear. I think it's a bipartisan, there's bipartisan support for advanced nuclear because it's clean energy. It's clean energy, it's reliable energy, it's always on.
And the safety of it, people hear nuclear and think, oh my goodness. As I understand it, this is kind of a self-enclosed loop, like a box that you don't have to insert fuel rods or whatever for 10 to 15 years, things like that. Were there concerns for you about safety when you heard nuclear?
No, there weren't. So Antares is going to be the company that we're partnering with at Joint Base San Antonio. Their micro reactor is really the size of a pickup truck. Will be buried underground. They use the term walk-away safe. So the entire reactor will ultimately shut down on its own if anything were to ever happen. And so again, the technology, the safety has improved drastically over the years. Something else people seem to forget, we have hundreds of modular nuclear reactors in the United States Navy. We don't talk about them very often, but they have an incredible track record of safety. And ultimately, that kind of technology has advanced even further into these micro reactors.
What would you tell people about, well, first of all, we don't know where it's going to be exactly at Joint Base San Antonio, and this can be applied to the grid, can be off the grid, and CPS Energy is going to learn from this.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, CPS has come alongside in all of this. We, you know, have nuclear energy today. CPS has a partnership with the current plant here in Texas. But going forward, I think there's real opportunity to look at expansion of commercial nuclear power in the state of Texas, and CPS is obviously looking at that as well. And
data centers, this is another kind of possibility that's out there, but we're talking a timeline of 5-10 years. Even for the one here, it would be 2029, I understand, before it could be up and running.
Yes, that's kind of the timeline they're looking at. Obviously, they're going to try to move that up as quickly as they can. But I think you mentioned a great point. I read an article the other day that said our power demand within ERCOT could quadruple in the next 6 years. That's a scary thought.
Because of data centers.
Yeah, data centers, a lot of additional demand being put on the grid. And what you know, these modular reactors can provide is those on-site power generation to not only add to that power supply, but also provide on-site power. I brought this up several times that, you know, there's a lot of pushback on these massive transmission lines that are being built all over West Texas. When you can put on-site nuclear power, then you don't have to spend those tens of billions of dollars on those transmission lines. They can actually be spent on power generation.
Another big topic you talked about at Commissioner's Court this week, what to do about overcrowding at the jail. The numbers keep going up. We see projections. We've talked about jail annexes. Another one, some people want to build a new jail. what did you come up with at the end of that discussion?
Well, I said this was long overdue. I've been pushing for this. I said these are critical issues that are facing our county. And literally yesterday, I walked through how we spend hundreds of millions of dollars on criminal justice system, from the DA's office, the jail, the sheriff's department, our courts, overtime costs, sending inmates out to surrounding counties. I mean, we need to spend time on this. We need to get this right. And there's multiple parts to this, right? There's a diversion, a lot of conversations with the city about how we can kind of minimize demand for beds for certain inmates that have mental health issues. They don't need to be in the jail. There's other places they could get treatment and be pulled out of the jail. I've said I fully support, an all of the above strategy. In that case, that is just one piece. I think it's necessary but not sufficient. We still need to talk about facilities, because as you mentioned, we've been over capacity for a year and a half. We're in a lull right now, but nobody believes that over the next 10, 20 years in Bexar County, we see another 30% in population growth. We're not going to need that additional bed space. And so we need to be forward looking, and I've tried to push Commissioner's Court into that.
Because of where the jail is now, it is a barrier to West Side expansion, and a lot of people think it needs to be moved elsewhere. Where could it be moved, and how would we pay for it?
So those are conversations we didn't touch on yesterday. We have talked about the requirement or the possibility of a medical mental health annex at the existing jail. And I think that could solve a lot of these issues, because we know we need additional medical care at our jail. We know we have a need for additional mental health beds. And there's been an issue with the Joint Intake Center with dual magistration. And so building another annex could give you a chance to start over when it comes to the JIA and make sure you build it to the right scale and scope. Ultimately, if you're talking about an entirely new jail, it likely wouldn't be downtown. We haven't really dove into the discussion on that one at this point. But I think all options have to be on the table. We need to think about the fact that our existing jail, and this was brought up by facilities, certain towers are over 40 years old now. 40 years old. So what's the useful life on a jail? And at what point are we putting so many tens of millions of dollars into maintenance that it makes more sense to just go ahead and bite the bullet and think about financing a major project?
Do you think over the next you talked about Dallas building a jail. Do you think over the next 10 years there will be the momentum to do that? For any number of reasons. Like I said, also the west side of downtown and that barrier to expansion on the west side.
I mean, eventually I think it has to be done. Is that in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? It's going to have to happen eventually. So, how much additional investment do you put in the existing footprint in terms of a new annex or additional maintenance? But at some point, we're going to have to find a new spot and a new jail.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming in. Grant Moody, County Commissioner. Thanks very much.
Thank you.